Hi everyone, welcome to this week. This is going to be the last week that we are looking at specific information types and information retrieval strategies. So this week kind of has all the extra stuff in it. And of course, I do want you to know that we're obviously not covering every single type of information out there. That would mean going into learning about screenshots, social media, like digging deep into every single type of information out there, and we don't have the time, but just know that this is not everything. Information is found in many different places. It can be, a takeout menu is information. Zines are information. There's, conversations. There's so many things out there. So this is not all of them. However, the last kind of things that we are discussing, which is going to be government information, data and statistics, literary, so specifically literary criticisms and book reviews, business information, legal or law related sources, and medical sources. Now, a lot of these specific areas have libraries or librarians dedicated to these sorts of areas. So there are business schools that have librarians and library paraprofessionals that work just in with business information. The same thing goes for law schools, medical schools, hospitals have medical library staff. Law offices often hire librarians. And the same thing goes for government. The government has libraries. The government puts out a lot of data and information, and each one of these areas has statistics and data that is collected. Now, all of the information that we've looked at before has and looks at data. Data is what is kind of peppered in, or the quantitative type information is kind of peppered in through all of these information sources. So this week we're going to be looking briefly at each of these types of niche sources. Now, I'm not expecting a lot of in-depth analysis on these information sources because you are most likely not going to be doing a lot with these individual sources, with these individual information sources. They're kind of more niche. They're kind of more specialized. Now, if you decide you want to go work in a government library or a law library, then I would definitely suggest learning even more about this, maybe even taking a class on some of the terminology and the basics of these areas. A lot of times librarians that go into law libraries have a law degree as well. Same thing with business as well, just because it is so specialized. So what we're going to be doing basically this week is you're going to be looking at the different sources. So I have one page that just discusses government sources. The next is from a textbook, and it's going to be discussing statistics and data, and there's specific pages that you can read. You don't have to read more than what these pages are. Next, we'll go over a little bit about what literary criticism is, the difference between a book review and literary criticism, where it gets used, what are some helpful databases to use when looking for literary criticism, who might be looking for that information. Same thing goes for then business sources, and then we put law and medicine all in one. And then after you've read these, read or listened to, there's also a few videos peppered in. You will be completing the journal entry. Now, this journal entry is worth 40 points, and you do need to have a certain amount of paragraphs for it to be considered complete. So just make a note of that. You can look at the rubric. I also have a page of extra help for week 10 and a few items if you want to go above and beyond. There's like extra videos and websites and things you can do with that. So if you have any questions about this, please let me know. But do understand that this is really just so that you are aware of these other resource types. And sometimes if you're answering a question or helping a patron, you might want to remember, oh yeah, there's a government resource for this, or there is a statistical resource that can help in this situation, because sometimes they can help in situations where you wouldn't normally think that they would. All right, I hope this helps. I hope you have a wonderful week. And reach out if you have any questions.